welcome to Three Thoughts On. Today we have a new guest on the series of addiction, Matt Taub. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for making the time to be part of this. As we discussed, we have some beautiful common friends that have put us together to have this conversation. So I'm very much looking forward to what you have to share. Obviously, they speak very highly of you, and I can't wait to get started. But why don't we lead the audience with tell us a little bit about you and how did you get to this point in your life?
Absolutely, I'd love to share that. So, my story goes back. We'll start from just 18 years ago. So I'm 18 years in recovery. My escape of choice was alcohol. I was a by the last I'd say year of my drinking career, I call it. I was drinking from about 7 in the morning all day long. I think I would be referred to as a functioning alcoholic, and that drinking would ramp up as the day went on, to the point where I was a blackout drinker pretty much every single night, um, and that took a toll on obviously my business, my marriage. We had a 1.5-year-old almost. Um, and I came back from a night of drinking, told the nanny she could leave. I was home alone. I woke up about, God knows, 3, 4 hours later, passed out on the kitchen floor with my wife staring down at me. And all I could think of at that moment was, you know, oh my God, and a whole bunch of expletives in my mind. Not that my wife was staring down at me, that was bad enough as is, but I remembered as I woke up that I gave my son a bath. I didn't remember putting him to bed. So I that feeling has never left me. Ran to the bathroom. Thank God the bathtub was empty and there was nobody in it. And then went to his room and saw that my son was there. And that was it. That was my personal rock bottom of having that feeling. I ended up going to rehab on my own. Um, and from there, once I went to rehab, very much like our friend Hillary, I didn't tell anybody that I was sober. You know, I just wouldn't drink, but I white knuckled it a little bit. I went to therapy. I did the program for rehab, but for 10 years, I didn't tell a soul. Being in the fitness industry, I would always say, "Well, I don't drink. Look at what I do for a living. I want to be healthy. It's my body," and I never really talked about it. And then at my 10th anniversary, I wrote an article for the Huffington Post about my addiction and recovery, and I remember my wife saying, "Are you sure you want to send that to the publisher? Because once they do it, it's out there." And I'm like, "Yes, to get it out there." And it was amazing what happened at that point in time. All the people came out and told me their story, and then I kept it quiet, and I would talk about it, but nothing like I would talk about until the last, I say, 3 years, where I really just wanted to help as many people as possible. Being a personal trainer, especially, that was a huge, huge thing for me. And then during the pandemic, I decided, you know what? I've got the time, and I was helping people, but I only helped them based on what I knew, and I wanted to know more. So I ended up going and getting certified as a recovery and sobriety coach, and I've been doing that along with fitness ever since.
Wonderful story. Thank you for sharing. There's a number of things that I took notes there as you were talking, and I kind of wanted to throw a couple of things at you and see if you can comment on them. You
For
mentioned
sure,
you were pretty much drinking all the time. Do you
all the time.
remember? Do you remember the first time you had a drink, and was it for you one of those moments where that was it? It was a very first sip, and that got you started, or was it through a different type of process?
Do I remember the very first drink I had? Yeah, I was 13, and I was at synagogue, and I was given. They had a little club they would go to, and they'd have a drink in the morning. 10:30 on a Saturday morning, and they poured me half an ounce of rye. And I actually recounted this story with my oldest son as he went to university. And I took a shot, finished a half ounce, and I can tell you that feeling to this day, I feel it going down my throat. I felt warm. I liked it, you know. And I said to my son when he went to university, and he's like, oh my god, we drank rye and whiskey last night. I said, well, what did you think of it? He goes, oh, it burned. It was gross. And I said, that's the difference. I said, when I first had that, I really liked it. I liked how it made me feel. Um, that didn't I didn't start drinking then and go hardcore. I university picked up and I started to drink more. I started to drink more, and that became the transition. But going back in hindsight, knowing at the age of 13 that I really liked how that felt in me, I knew that alcohol would make me feel a certain way.
Yeah, and I think that that's so important. I follow you on social media. The reason why I ask is because we we still to this day have people who do not understand the disease aspect of alcoholism, and,
Right.
and other types of drugs, right? But specifically in alcoholism. And the way that I try to explain it, based on what I've read, because I have never had an issue with alcohol. Um, and I'm thankful for that. And just it doesn't react in my body the way it does in
Hmm.
other bodies, right? So the way that I try to explain it to people, at least the way I understand it, is for certain people, it creates a reaction. And then that reaction leads to the craving of more. And it is a chemical
Yes.
reaction, right? Analogous to you having an allergic reaction to cheese, or you have some
Hmm.
other reaction to some other type of food. Alcohol creates in some people this reaction that leads to a dependence. So people say, well, I saw your post on social media about Matthew
Yeah.
Perry, right? And I was going down the responses, and there was inevitably someone said, well, it's a choice, he did this to himself, et cetera, et cetera. And it fascinates me that we still are having that discussion today, that people do not understand that certain body types, certain genetic makeups react
Hmm.
differently to that particular toxic substance. and
Right.
and for some, like when I was interviewing Hillary, she said it was like day one she had this reaction, this awe, right? This, oh
Yeah.
wow, oh my god, what did I just have? So that's why I was asking you to see if you had a similar type of reaction. Yours was a little bit different, but it
Very
was.
similar. I had it young, and then as I got older, I had like I recounted stories. It really was. It was like, oh my god, like why, why didn't I not know this earlier? Like, oh my god, this is amazing. And yeah, when I even when people look at yeah, the choice, and on that post I did, there were close to 1,000 comments, and I'll tell you, I gathered about 100 of them and started posting some of them here and there. And you have a choice. Who told you to pick up that first drink? In a society where it's the only thing that if you go to an event and you don't drink, the pressure about why you don't is so big. That's why people drink. That's why they have the first one. It's the societal pressure and the norm that we have all this. But like, I joke around. How come no one does that with like chopped liver?
Yeah, or dessert for that matter, right?
Yeah,
With sugar, of course, is another substance, processed sugar, of course. I mean, highly toxic, highly inflammatory, very similar detrimental uh, things that happen to the body when we consume it, and very similar dependence that occurs in the body. But you don't get the similar type of pressure. You get some pressure if you don't eat sweets, but nowhere near what you get with the pressure of alcohol. So
yeah.
part of the reason why I'm doing this is to create that awareness that there is a difference in how each individual body processes ethanol, which is the main molecule in alcohol. First of all, it's highly toxic. There
Yeah,
is zero benefit. The data just keeps piling up. There are no benefits. And depending on your makeup, it will create a dependence very early on. And it sounds like, this
very
is
early.
this is analogous to what you've experienced, not only of yourself, but I'm assuming that as you're coaching people, you're seeing the same type of things.
Yeah, and again, it's whether it's just at a young age or an older age. What I'm seeing is that people people who need that escape, who go to this escape level, not that they need it, but they try it, where it's like, oh my goodness, and it's you even see it with people in general, just knowing what it does. They call it liquid courage. I'm about to go dance on the dance floor and do karaoke. I need like 5 shots, right? It's that liquid courage to get it done, where it takes all the inhibitions away. You're taking away a lot more than just your inhibitions.